I do believe that every child needs an opportunity to be helped. And I think that that's the whole mission of the Boys and Girls Club.
I don't know of any other organization in our community that serves 1,000 young people every day.
How do we elevate everyone in the community to become independent, working, and enjoying the quality of life?
I was actively involved in the United Way, ran the United Way of Spartanburg, and during that process got to meet a lot of the leadership of the Boys and Girls Club regional office in Atlanta. And I never really thought much about it until the guy from Atlanta says to me, "You don't have a club in Spartanburg." I said, "No, you're right, we don't. But we have the perfect community of need that the Boys and Girls Club mission could serve."
I was sitting peacefully, probably behind my desk, and a good friend, Andy Crane, called up and said, "Larry, there's a new organization I'm trying to start up in Spartanburg. It's great across the country. It's fantastic for at-risk youth, and would you jump aboard and help me out?" And I said, "Sure, Andy, anything you want to do."
I was at Mayfair Mills at the time. I got a call from my good friend, the banker, Andy Crane, saying that he was going to have a lunch and hoped that I'd come down and join him. And I, at that time, never turned down a free lunch. So I went down and Andy said, "Well, the topic of our discussion today is the Boys and Girls Clubs of America."
Talked to Susan Chapman, young at the time, and we all agreed that there was a pressing need for a Boys and Girls Club chapter for Spartanburg.
I know Jim Edwards came in fairly early, and George Nixon, Susan Chapman Young, Al Jolly, and we met and strategized on what we were going to do and how we were going to get this accomplished.
So I called the regional office back and I said, "What have we got to do to get the chapter started?" And they said, "Well, you're going to have to raise $1,500,000. And I said, "For what?" And they said, "Well, we have to have a center. We have to build a center. Buy the land, build the building, has to have a gym, it has to have baseball fields."
And very early on, we came to the conclusion that we needed to open some type of partnership with the school districts, because it just made common sense, because school buildings weren't used during the hours that we would want them, after school and in the summers.
The clubs would meet in the off-school hours. The kids are already there, and you'll find that all of a sudden the school, which had at that time for many young people somewhat of a negative for them, all of a sudden it would be positive.
Probably one of the larger contributions I helped personally make is I hired Greg Talbert at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and he worked with me. And when the organization needed a new treasurer, I recommended that they try to get Greg, and I could sort of recruited him. And then a year or 2 or 3 years later, he came into my office and said, "Larry, I'm tired of working with you, and I have a great mission that can be accomplished, and that's going to work full-time with the Boys and Girls Club." And at that point, I said, "Greg, I couldn't think of a better organization for you to go to and to really help it grow." And I think we're sitting, I don't know how long Greg has been there, probably 15, 20 years now, but he's taken the ball and run with it, and just like I thought he would, because he did a super job for us back at PricewaterhouseCoopers also.
After the executive director was hired, and their program to recruit Wofford kids and Converse kids and Spartanburg Methodist kids to come in and do tutorial work and just play with the kids, okay? Because a lot of these young people have nobody to play with, and nobody to really guide them, nobody to mentor them, nobody to tell them right from wrong. And that to me is the true basis of the Boys and Girls Club, and it always will be.
I remember there was one child who wanted to come to the club, and Dale Wells identified him and said, "We've got one young member, he's on probation, he's run into trouble with the law, but every afternoon he'd come to the club and sit outside and hope that he would be invited to join." And I'll never forget asking Dale the question, "If I give you the $5, will you have him come in?" And he said, "Well, sure, let's do it." So we invited the youngster in, and I think he was maybe in the 5th grade. joined the club, and he got on the straight and narrow path, and often he went to Mr. Wells and said, you know, if it weren't for the Boys and Girls Club, I'd be downtown in the clink.
I think the future is very bright. I think if the Boys and Girls Clubs can continue to grow and expand throughout Spartanburg County, and I know it's involved in Cherokee County right now, through the existing school structures, it's going to be just fantastic, because I think we're serving 1,000 a day, but the free lunch students are like 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 of those who are not being served every day. To me, the challenge for the future leadership of the Boys and Girls Club is further penetration within our community.
I think that we can continue to grow this chapter without the brick and mortar and in concert with the public facilities. And it probably was one of the first, didn't even think about it at the time, but public-private consortiums to do one thing, and that was to serve the children in the community.